welcome to another real life foster carer video. This is my third one. I can't believe it. These weeks are going really quick. So thanks for coming back to hearing what I've got to say. Thank you for all of the lovely messages I've been getting about everything that I've been doing, and all your stories and questions and stuff. It's really encouraging me to keep this up, so thank you for that. I've been summoned to a different part of the house this week because it's Devil Week, aka half term. So you might hear a little bit of background noise. The kids are downstairs playing havoc on my husband, so just I apologise for that off the bat. This week's going to be quite a short video because some of the things I'm going to be talking about in this video is out there. There's lots of information on it. So what I'm just going through today is what you need to become a foster carer. So what are the criteria that you have to meet in order to make this a possibility? So the first one I'm going to start off with is obviously age. You need to be 25 to foster. In some circumstances, it does differ if you're kinship caring or looking after siblings and things like that. But as a standard, on the whole, you need to be 25 years old to foster children. I actually had my first home visit on my 25th birthday. So I did it as soon as I could. It kind of just panned out that way. I hadn't been like holding on. I hadn't been wanting to do this since I was 18 or anything like that. You'll find out all about when I decided in last week's video, so you know that it wasn't sort of something that I longed for. It just happened that way, and I was really lucky that I didn't have to wait that long. So yeah, 25 is how old you have to be. The second major one is obviously you need a spare room. Now some agencies and local authorities will allow you to have children under 2 in your own bedroom. Some of them it's a must, they have to be in your own bedroom for under 2-year-olds. But I'm not sure whether they still make you have a spare room anyway. Like I say, this does differ from local authority to local authority, agency to agency, local authority to agency. But on the whole, again, another standard is a spare bedroom. One other one that I think I actually applaud is smoking. So if you are a smoker and you foster children, you're not allowed to smoke in your home. If you are a smoker and you want to foster children, you aren't allowed to foster children under 5 at all. So children under 5 are a no-no for smokers. Children over 5, absolutely fine, but you have to smoke outside of the home. And I've got to say, I do agree with it. I have been a smoker when I was younger. I understand that it doesn't make you a bad person, doesn't mean you can't look after children. I get that. But we all know the health risks to yourself and others around you. So that is a rule that I've seen everywhere I've looked into has implemented. Another thing that is a big one is your finances. So if you are in a relationship and you have other children, birth children, or any children in the home that are your responsibility, you have to ensure that you can afford to look after yourself and your family on another form of income. So benefits, your partner's employment, your employment, whichever, you have to ensure, and they check thoroughly, that you can afford to provide for your family first and foremost without any form of fostering allowance that you will receive. Now this is where it can be quite difficult for some people, especially if you are a sole carer, because a lot of agencies and some local authorities push for you to give up employment. Foster children come with a lot of other difficulties that let's say not looked after children don't. So there's lots of meetings that you have to attend, they have a lot of issues with school, you're often called at a moment's notice. So unless you've got a really understanding employer who will allow you to leave work at the drop of a hat, take days off, come in late, special leave, things like that, it's not going to be easy to manage a looked after child in your home. So there is a bit of a catch-22 between affording to live and then wanting you to give up your job. I was fortunate enough, I was in a position where I could leave my employer. My husband still works, Nika still works full time. So obviously without any form of funding that we get for looking after these children, we are absolutely fine on Nico's wage. We can live. So that is something that you do have to consider. Fostering doesn't affect benefits. I don't claim any benefits, so I don't know an awful lot about the ins and outs of them, but what I do know is fostering isn't seen as paid work as such. So it doesn't interfere with any benefits that you are in receipt of, because you're working 24 hours a day, so you put like 99 plus hours on your application form, but your wages that you get is actually zero because it isn't a wage. So yeah, finances is a big thing to look into if you are considering doing this, especially if you have your own children. What you have to remember also is when you don't have a child in placement, you don't get paid. Some local authorities will offer a retainer. It's a very, very, very small retainer, and the local authorities that are offering this are few and far between now. But other than that, if you're not looking after a child and a child isn't in your home placed with you, you aren't getting any money for it. So fostering, the allowance that you get isn't something you can rely on or live on, because you can go months without a child in your care. So yeah, I would really, really say that the biggest stickler and the biggest thing to do the most research on and get the most information from is finances. So those are the main things that you need to really consider, and that there's really no budging on, basically. Other things that they like to put forward in your personality is, the biggest one they go on about is resilience, and I can't stress this enough. You need to be so thick-skinned, so resilient, I can't even tell you. I've said now, where I am today with fostering, I never, ever, ever thought it could be as hard as it's been, but I never dreamed I could be as strong as I've been. And that is one thing I will preach and preach. It's hard, but you've got to be harder. One of the biggest things to consider as well, personality-wise, is your ability to remain professional in some of the most horrific circumstances you're ever going to find yourself in. When I was doing my assessment, so I'll go through the Form F, which is the form you have to fill out, and you go through this huge rigmarole where somebody comes to your house and picks apart every part of your life. During this stage, they were mentioning, you know, you will meet birth parents, you will meet birth families. Now, these people have had their children taken for a reason. And, you know, I always had my apprehensions. And they would always say, you know, you might run into them, you might walk past them, you might see them at drop-off or pick-up. And I was like, oh, okay. I've spent an awful lot of time with birth families. And this is fine. They do them, I do me. But ensure that you are ready to have your complete poker face on, focus, and that is when being a foster carer truly becomes your profession. You have to remember that you are being paid to do a job and that you are at work. And it was at that point where I literally had to have an imaginary boss on my shoulder watching over me. And to be honest, I didn't know I had it in me. When I say I'm learning something new every day about myself and all of them things, these are the things I'm talking about. I truly, truly dig deep and have dug to the deepest depths since I've been fostering. And that is something you really have to think about. Anyone who knows me probably didn't think I could ever suffer the heat of that situation and not open my mouth and not say something. But maybe I'm just right for the job. So yeah, those are the things I would say you definitely need to have inside you in order to do this. So I hope you found this useful. If you've got absolutely any other questions regarding any real specifics about what you need to become a foster carer, please let me know. Go on your local authorities' websites. There are so many fostering agencies out there with so much information online. Literally just type in independent fostering agency on Google. They will come up, the ones closest to you. And like I say, they're more than happy to take a phone call, go through it with you. Don't think that if you're ringing them, you're signing up to do anything. You might just want a nosy. You might just be watching this video to have a nosy into what it's like and have no intentions whatsoever of doing it. But it's also nice to sit there and think, yeah, maybe I could do that. I'd be pretty good at that, maybe one day. So thanks again, guys. See you later.